Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this sort of fifth discussion that the Menaka board is hosting about writing centers and writing programs in the situation of COVID-19. I'm seeing some familiar faces on here, and hello to all of you, and thank you for being part of this. Um, what we thought we would do today is we would share the story of one particular writing center in the the region, and we will be sort of walked through the statistics of a particular writing center by Maimoonah Al Khalil and Rana Abuhassan from King Saud University in Saudi Arabia, and then we will have a little conversation about their statistics, their findings, how that might um, sort of be in conversation with our findings at NYU Abu Dhabi, and hopefully also in conversation with all of you. So once Maimoonah and Rana are done walking us through their findings, if you want to say something, maybe you could put your name in the chat box, and I will try and moderate that to the best of my limited abilities, but I will try. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Maimoonah and Rana, and maybe you can just introduce yourselves and what you're going to be walking us through today.
All right. Thank you very much, Ken. And thanks to Menaka for these discussion series. We're going to consider Rana, my colleague, and I, today's opportunity as one way of telling you what's going on in one center and how we responded to the sudden lockdown as a result of the breakout of COVID-19 last spring. The goal is, number one, share, and secondly, see if our experience resonated with those other writing centers close by in the region, whether there was something we could have done differently, lessons learned in our case, in nearby centers as well. So just sort of like a sharing of what we found in our particular context, different as it is from all the other contexts. But see where that takes us in terms of just insights. I am Maimoonah Khalil. I helped found the Center for Writing in English in King Saud University in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And Rana is the head of the administrative team at the Center for Writing in English. Last spring, I was directing. Rana was part of the administration, and we had our schedule going smoothly, as it does usually in the spring. And we were nearing week 6 when we heard on the news that there were no longer any classes. So we were in class on Sunday, but did not go to class on Monday. We already had some booked appointments on our scheduling system. And so what we're presenting here is basically a little bit of background on the Center for Writing in English, and then what we ended up doing week 6 onwards until the summer. So I'll begin with just a little bit about what our situation was like pre-COVID-19. I'd like to say that King Saud University is an Arabic medium instruction university. So all the majors are taught in Arabic, with the exception of the medical courses and the sciences, and some of the technological majors. And then, of course, you have your English majors too that are taught in English. Everything else is taught in Arabic. So this is a Center for Writing in English and an Arabic medium university. It is one of the largest and oldest universities in the kingdom, and it is in the capital, Riyadh. So that is the entrance to our center. It's at the College of Arts. And what I would like to note here is that we founded the center in 2012 on the female campus, and it has been running only on the female campus for the past 8 years. And very recently, in actually March of 2020, that was when the Center for Writing in English on the male campus opened. Unfortunately, it was only in operation for a week before it had to shut down for the lockdown. It is now resuming its services as of this fall. The center is staffed by faculty members, peer consultants, and volunteer consultants, and it runs regular professional development sessions in writing center theory and practice. And especially since we have a different group of consultants every semester, and so we do those every semester, we try and fit in 3 to 4 PD sessions where we read scholarship in writing center theory and practice and discuss it and see how it applies to our particular situation. We average over 500 consultations per semester. There are some semesters, as you will see, where we have gone over 1,000 consultations per semester. Honestly, it just depends on how large our consulting team is. So when we have many consultants, we end up with higher numbers, and basically the demand is there, but it is whether or not we can secure enough consultants. We do offer workshops on academic writing. Those workshops are usually requested. The titles are requested by faculty members, and then we would find a trainer and design that workshop to fit the needs of the students. And we offer around 8 to 10 workshops a year. We do organize some events on the side. So we do spelling bees once a year. We also do a biannual event, which is the International Write-In. We do that the week before review week, and that's when usually our scheduling system is all booked and students still want to be seen. And so we kind of send out an SOS call to all our faculty members at the English department, asking them to please, we designate 3 days in the week before review week and ask them, so many deadlines are approaching, students are on the waiting list, and we'd really love for you to give us a few more hours of your time during these 3 days. And so we make an event out of it. We bring in food, refreshments, cookies, and it's a spectacle really, and people look forward to it. And we end up with so many, almost the entire department signing up an hour here, an hour there, every single day of those 3 days. And we do end up doing over 100 consultations just as part of that event outside of our regular schedule. So we do that every end of semester, right when deadlines are approaching, and students know about that, they plan for it, they make sure they have their drafts ready so that they get seen during International Write-In, and usually everyone gets seen, and nobody stays behind. So that's some of the things that we do. Those are just a few pictures of the Center for Writing English on the female campus. Some pictures from the outside, some from the inside, the waiting area, some of the stations. And that's the spread from one of our international write-ins. We have the cake and sandwiches on the side, sustenance for our consultants as they are providing consultations, extra consultations to our writers. And then there are some pictures here about the spelling bee, our last spelling bee. And people from all over campus participate, and we have crowned queen bees from majors in medicine and College of Languages and Translation, and different, not necessarily English department students. So that's something students really look forward to. And we managed to find sponsors for pretty neat gifts, and it's just something fun that we tend to do. Of course, we haven't had a spelling bee in a while. We don't know if we can do one virtually. That's still under study. But those are just some of the events that we conduct as part of the center. Now, I want to say a little more about the context of the English department at King Saud University. This English department, like many public universities in Saudi Arabia, does not require a proficiency exam. Now, when you look at the program of the department, you'll find that it offers courses in literature and courses in linguistics. And the expectation is that students will come in with a level of proficiency that will allow them to discuss the events of a novel or discuss the intricacies and the details of a second language acquisition theory. However, the reality is that we end up with different levels of English proficiency in every single class we go to, whether you're going into a first year class or a fourth year class. And what ended up happening was there was just such high rate of failure, and there was a lot of frustration on the part of both instructors and students. And it was very difficult, especially for instructors, to evaluate the work of students because one rubric could not really cover fairly all the levels in the course. And of course, we all knew that writing is the best medium through which you could assess their comprehension of the material and their expression in regards to the material. So we had an issue with writing especially, and a potential solution that one of our faculty members proposed was, why not create a writing center, create a safe space in between the student and the instructor where the work can get negotiated, looked at, worked on before final submission, and where students get to discuss their writing, understand their writing tendencies, discuss ways in which they can improve as writers. And so we did that in 2012, specifically in the spring, February 13th. We remember that date fondly. And the male side has followed suit and has started now with us in 2020. So that's just a little bit of background on our context as a department. And honestly, when we started the center, it was meant for our students in the English department. So I teach linguistics students, and my colleague who helped found the center was a literature instructor. And so it was basically meant for our students, but we were really surprised by the number of people coming in. And I apologize for this graph starting from the right. This is from a report that we report in Arabic, and so it's starting from the right. But the right side is the 2012, and then 2013, 2014, 2015, and that's just one semester in 2015. And you'll see those are the numbers of consultations provided. And that was when we first started out. So our first semester was 196 consultations. And then we did not realize there was so much demand for academic writing support. And what ended up happening was we had lines of students waiting outside. We asked for a small space, we shared it with the library, and then we fortunately moved campuses, and that was how we got the space I showed you pictures of earlier. And that was when we were able to accommodate 600, 800, 1,034 consultations per semester. And again, that basically depended on the number of consultants we had and the number of hours we could secure on the schedule. If we secured more hours, we'd have more consultations essentially. So by the time we got up to 2015, that was when we had to use a scheduling system. We couldn't keep everything on track paper-wise, and that was when we got WC Online. And so students now could book their appointments online, they could cancel, they could select who to work with, they could better manage their writing process in terms of available appointments. And so this data is from our scheduling system, and you'll see this is the last 4 years, and you'll see the blue are all the appointments, and then the walk-ins and the new client registrations in gray. And so you'll see that the demand specifically essentially stayed the same, and it is very, very high. Now, we have been operating pretty much smoothly based on the main challenge pre-COVID-19 was securing a good number of consultants, because what happened was people started coming from all the other departments on campus. So we had people from medicine, people from nursing, all the departments that required writing in English, their students started showing up. So we have people in lab coats, we have people who are moving their classes and lab times around to be able to come into the writing center to have their work and their lab reports seen. March 9, 2020, that was when the decision was made that all of classes were to move online. And of course, we already had Blackboard and we had already had some experience with online teaching. But for the writing center, it was a new situation for us altogether. With that the main post-COVID-19 changes, of course, we transitioned from on-site consultations to online consultations within 48 hours. So we were back online on March 11th. We only offered synchronous consultations using the WC Online platform. And the reason we did that was, first of all, we did not have any kind of agreement. Kingstar did not have an agreement with Zoom like some universities do. But we had already had a standing and operational subscription to WC Online. And also, we already had a schedule for our consultants, and we were not sure, they were already scrambling to deal with online teaching. So we didn't want to schedule anything outside of their regular hours. We wanted them to just show up during their regular hour instead of on site, just be at a computer. And we sent them guides that we had prepared that night using the manual for WC Online. One guide meant for students, and we blasted that out using the mass emails feature on WC Online and all through all our social media outlets. And another guide for our consultants, because for many of them, they were not aware of the online features on WC Online. And for those who were not comfortable or were a bit hesitant, we ran super quick on-demand online training for those consultants, showing them how to enter the virtual room, how to use the different tools. And we very quickly built some IT expertise, and Rana here has become our go-to person when it comes to any problems with technology. And apparently there are little things you can do here and there to improve sound quality. So we also, by the end of that experience, we thought we'd check in with our consultants and our writers and ask them about their experience of having suddenly moved online. So we have a few of their reactions recorded and on record. So we'll present those here. This is just basically what it looked like if you were to use the virtual room on WC Online. No one ever turned on the camera, so that box was always black. However, the audio was on, and then we would use the chat at the bottom right. And basically, what the whiteboard here did was you would import the text, and then any changes the consultant did, and any changes the writer did would appear in different colors. And so things would be highlighted, things would be changed together as we were discussing the piece of work. So that was basically essentially what we did with our students. These were the guides that we sent out super quickly the night before, one for students, for the writers, and the other for consultants, on just kind of like a quick reading to just tell them how to start. And then we included some technical tips here. These are things we learned by either talking to WC Online directly, things about closing your tabs, restart, checking your settings and things like that. And they're different from with different laptops and desktops. So we kind of gathered those technical tips and put them out there on the guide. Now comes the most important question, which was, what is the effect of COVID-19 on the activity level of the CWE, in the CWE meaning the Center for Writing in English, in the last 7 weeks of the spring semester? Now, when COVID-19 hit and the lockdown started, we were in week 6, and we still had 7 weeks left. So the total number of consultations we provided in the last 7 weeks were 372. But that was, I mean, honestly, I didn't think we would be capable of getting a good number. We were quite scared about how it would go and whether it would go well at all. So the fact that we ended up with that number, to me, is pretty miraculous. We'll tell you a little bit about the actual numbers week by week, comparing them to, so we compared week 6 from the fall with week 6 from the spring, and so on. And I'll have Rana here jump in with some of the major results.
Yeah. Hi. I'm really happy to share the experience that we had last semester when COVID-19 actually affected we were afraid that it would affect the activity of the CWE, but actually we managed to maintain the booked appointments that actually previously booked and even some students actually add to some of them some consultants actually add some hours to help in the students who need appointments even but the only problem was when we had face to face students could come and they can have they can come as walk-ins because actually our sessions is about 1 hour. So if a consultant finish with her client like in 30 minutes or in 20 minutes, she would have another student to work with the rest of her time in the CWE. But we couldn't actually accommodate the virtual walk-ins. Still we have a waiting list that students would register, but it was hard to manage that because we only use the WC online platform. And also we managed to hold our event, our every semester event, which is the International Write-In virtually. We will discuss this more in the graph. Can we go to the following? Yeah. Okay. Here, as you see in this graph, this is a comparison between week 6 from fall 2019 and week 6 from spring 2020. I just want to tell you that week 6 actually, we started comparing between week 6 from both semesters because we started in this week on Wednesday. So these are only the statistics for 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday, Wednesday, March 11. As you can see, the difference here is only 4, which is higher for face-to-face appointments. In week 7, the difference is 22 still because this is just a sudden change in the nature of the CWE operation. Students maybe didn't know yet about the online feature. They might not know how to use it yet. So that's why in week 7 of fall 2019 is higher than week 7. And also because we could accommodate the walk-ins students since it is they come on campus. In week 8, there's, as you can see, the online appointments are higher than week 7. Here, students are more accustomed of the online feature, and even the administrators are yeah, accustomed to solve the other technical problems that the students were facing. So the difference is only here 8. And week 9, the number of the online appointments were significantly higher than the face-to-face. This might be because the students actually started to in fall 2019, usually on week 9, they have midterms and they don't have time to book appointments. So while if it is when it was spring 2020, it was easier for them to manage between their exams and having time for their online appointments. Again, in week 10, it is higher in as an online as in spring 2020. because also it's closer to the due dates of their assignments, and they also there are the faculty were very helpful at that time, providing more hours than their usual the already booked assigned hours for them, because of the high demand of the students at that time. In the international write-in, we extended the number of days. In fall 2019, it was only for 3 days, while and it was from 8 to 3, and the high number is also because of we have many other volunteers who volunteer to consult, and also because of the we could accommodate the walk-ins. While in the international write-in in spring 2020, also it was higher than the week before. It is considered as a high number since it is online appointments, and we actually, to help maintain the number as the previous semester, we extended the days of the international write-in to be 5 days, from Sunday to Thursday, and also we extended the hours of the CWE operation. It was from 7 to we added actually 2 hours, from 7 to 4. In the review week, the 2 hours that we actually added in the international write-in continued to be given from 7 to 4. That's why we also maintain the high number of the online appointments. So these are the reasons of the differences in the number. Like consultant added hours to the schedule to meet student demand. Also, the shifting from midterms to take-home exams created more need for the CWE, and it is very clear that the CWE was as busy online in the spring as it was on site in the fall. After every session, students actually were sent an automatic evaluation of their sessions. It was made of closed and open questions. One of the questions was, how do you rate this session? The responses shows that most of them were actually they agree that it was excellent and very good. So this shows that the CW actually meet their demands, even when it changes the way it operates. Another question, they're actually they were also content with the way the benefits they get from the online sessions. In here, as it shows that I left with a clear idea about the text steps I can take to improve my writing. Consultant helped clarify my ideas, helped improve. So this shows that actually it didn't, the shifting to online appointments didn't affect the benefits from the face-to-face from the CWE when it was face-to-face. Again, here, most of the students agree that they would recommend the Center for Writing in English to other writers. They would return to the Center for Writing in English, and that they agree that it improved their overall writing skills, and it made them feel comfortable about raising questions and discussing my writing. And of course, they were checked in efficiently. The open question in the evaluation was like, what was most helpful about your session? How can we improve? In week 7, one of the students says she was so clear on everything. The teacher was so cooperative with me. She was helpful. These were their exact words. And add more appointments. Some of them they wanted the CWE to add more hours, which shows that it is working efficiently as before, but because of the lack of walk-ins feature as it was in the face-to-face, some students actually miss the opportunity to have an appointment. And it would be better if the center offered more appointments because it's always booked. In week 10, they even specified the names of the tutors, the consultants. It's like Teacher H helped me add my team a lot in our graduation project. We all are very satisfied about the outcome of the meeting. She really improved our document. In the international write, and one of the students said, I didn't know the writing consultants could be that beneficial and professional until I took session with Dr. M. The online session was very bad. We couldn't hear each other. This was, of course, one of the opinions that, of course, we had some technical problems and with the good ones. What do you prefer, face-to-face? Here, after actually after spring 2020 finished, we asked students about which one they prefer, face-to-face or online consultations. 8 students replied to us. This was the reply. Both of them could help me a lot in terms of grammar and structure, but online I am comfortable more because when we are at university, I don't have a lot of time to correct my papers. Online consultations have more opportunities to correct my paper in off days because I don't have lectures and pressure. Usually when we had face-to-face appointments, we don't see a lot of students in on Wednesday or Monday because this is considered as their off day, so they don't attend the campus. So this after we in spring 2020, students actually were it was the Mondays and Wednesdays were fully booked when it was online, and most of them were actually sending alike messages to saying that we hope that this online feature would just continue until even after COVID-19, because it helps us to find appointments in these off days. A student explained that she preferred the online session because she didn't feel shy while discussing her writing. A student suggested that the CWE continues to offer online consultations alongside face-to-face to support students who don't come to campus on their days off. Also asked the consultant for their evaluation of their online sessions. And this what we have from the reports that they upload after each session. Some of the cons is the internet connection. Student basically wants you to proofread rather than actually give them feedback and can't really focus when giving them feedback. And as a consultant, I'm less motivated to work back at home. Maybe this is because it was the beginning and it was something new, and most of them weren't even motivated with the situation to even in classes. I think the only pro is that it takes less time, and once I'm done, I can simply end the session and that's it. I don't have to stay for my shift. So 14 out of 273, only 5% of the reports indicated having faced technical problems, including internet connection and audio problems. Usually we have, actually we had a WhatsApp group for the consultants. If they have any problems using the platform. They would just ask us to be in, and we can join in as a third party. We can communicate with the student to, of course, using the technical tips that Dr. Maimoonah showed at before these slides, asking her to fix them. So usually it works, and the session went smoothly. Unless there's always one problem that we faced. It was if the student had a poor connection. Sometimes the audio and video wouldn't work very well, and then they would have to compensate in other ways. Technical, yeah. Because of this technical issues. Okay, because of this secluded environment of online sessions, also they like that how it eliminated the noises of nearby consultations. Of course, because when there are 9 consultants in the center, and there are 9 consultations going on, there will be some noises. So they prefer it because of that. Augmented focus on the text under review. So also it helps in to focus on it. Required students to interact more actively with the consultant, lead to clearer articulations of the thoughts and intents of writers.
All right, thank you, Rana. Thank you very much. So, what are the takeaways? We're done. This is our last slide. So, from what we've seen, this is just us trying to understand what happened last semester. That those are our numbers. Those were the circumstances. We noticed that students were voluntarily booking their appointments on their own. They really wanted to make sure that they booked an appointment. They were sending us emails saying whether we were going to be adding any additional hours onto the schedule. And initially on campus, it was the other way around. The instructors sort of kind of trying to push students to book appointments at the CWE. So somehow during the lockdown, and while students were managing their learning process on their own, they felt the need and recognized the importance of discussing their writing with consultants at the CWE virtually. We also noticed a high number of students on the waiting list. We didn't have time to put a graph on about that, but there was a waiting list for every single day, and there were days where it was up to 18 students. Those were all students that were not seen when they had wanted to be seen. And consultants honestly were truly dedicated supporters of students. We were so grateful for all the extra time that consultants put in. And whenever in that WhatsApp group we said, please, is anyone free, we'd always have takers. So that was very, very helpful to our students. So there was a graciousness and cooperation from the consultants that we were very pleased with. I think we're going to need to continue to offer online consultations when we get back to campus, whenever that is. We see a value to that. What remains is just for us to think about how we can do that. And we also realize the importance of institutional support for university writing centers. We were working on all of this honestly on our own, and I think we would have benefited from any kind of guidance or cooperation from the institution, especially in terms of maybe we could have had perhaps, maybe we could have addressed the needs of our walk-ins with a Zoom account, things like that. So that's in terms of the main insights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maimoonah and Rana, for that sort of insight into how the Writing Center worked at King Saud University, and I think a number of things sort of resonate with what happened at NYU Abu Dhabi. And I know that I I failed to introduce myself up front. I'm Ken Nielsen, and I'm the director of the Writing Center at NYU Abu Dhabi. But a couple of things that I really sort of wanted to think more about is, well, one, what does this online environment help us do, right? And I am not necessarily one to think about silver linings, but what are we actually learning from being in this environment about what we can do? And I had to sort of radically shift what we do at the Writing Center at NYU Abu Dhabi. We're working more in hybrid formats. We're working with sort of written feedback combined with oral feedback, with actual consultations happening alongside Google Doc. And I think Maimoonah just got disconnected, but I think she's back. So it would be interesting to hear from this group about your experiences with that, combining sort of primarily asynchronous consultations with synchronous consultations. And then I think this question of meeting student need, where they are. And of course, I mean, I was kind of laughing, and I'm sorry if I was laughing on screen, but sort of this comment of like, add more appointments. I'm like, yes, sure. But show me the money. I mean, where's that money going to come from, right? And so working with administration, clarifying where the Writing Center sits in the ecosystem, and I believe that's quoting Mary Queen, basically, of the university, and making that clear to the administration and to the students, I think is really important. So we only have about 15 minutes left, and I don't want to take too much time because I have access to the two of you anyway. So I want to make sure that if there are any questions from the lovely colleagues who joined us here today, that we have time to address those. If you can just put your name in the chat box, and I will try and moderate that. Oh yeah, and you can just unmute your mic as well. Are there any comments or questions? Misty.
Yeah, so I'm wondering this, because we're kind of finding this a similar conclusion that we want to keep offering virtual, consultations, even when we go back to a post-COVID world, if there is such a thing as a post-COVID world. But one of the things that I'm a little concerned about, and this has to do with that position we're at in between administration and providing and getting that kind of support and resources and being supported in the way we've become accustomed to, and then meeting students' needs. Because I've already been reminded that, well, if our consultants are all going to be online anyway, maybe we should just use the home campus consultants, and then we don't need the space that we previously had, the physical space, and we don't need the staff that we previously had. So I've been like a little concerned about those kinds of things, and I'm wondering if anybody else has worried about that.
Maybe I can just jump in and say that yes, I have been very concerned about that, and I think it's something that we need to think about, not only for writing centers and writing programs, but for higher ed in general. Sort of this efficiency model of, oh, we can just move everything online and everything will be fine. Well, yeah, no, that's not true. So I am concerned about that, and I keep making the point that this is an emergency, and that we also have to think about how writing center consultations online have to be centered somehow in a center, right? And in a pedagogy that we all agree on. So it doesn't mean that anybody just around the world can do that. I don't know how to make that argument, but I'm very concerned about it, because I think it does two things, right? It sort of serves the sort of neoliberal idea of like, oh, efficiency on the behalf of the administration, but also on the side of the students. And that's something that Rana brought up that I think is really important, this idea of proofreading, right? I can just send in my paper, I get comments back, and voila, it's done. No, actually coming to the writing center is work, and it's pedagogical work, and it's learning. At least that's how I think about it at the moment, but I will shut up now.
Actually, I would like to make a comment too, that's related to both Misty and Ken's points about the dangers of administration making decisions, that since we were able to successfully provide services to students online in this emergency situation, then why even bother having a center or et cetera. One of the things, and actually this happened long before COVID, when I was still in charge of the writing center at AUK, is that there was pressure to kind of reduce staffing at the writing center, both student consultants and staff consultants. And I actually pulled a little kind of sneaky move that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. But I cited an accrediting body, and I can't remember which one it was, whether it was Kuwait's accrediting agency or if it was, you know, one of the US accrediting agencies. But in that accrediting body, they had indicated that academic support for students needed to be based in professional organizations, guidelines, et cetera, et cetera. So I used that to argue with the administration that, yeah, we can get rid of a lot of our staff, but then we're not going to be meeting the accrediting body's standards for the kinds of academic support that we offer to the students. So actually it worked at that time. I'm not sure if it would continue to work as more and more pressure is put on it.
Yeah, one thing we miss from having been in the center is there was a sense of, you know, building a sense of team and working together and having common concerns and discussing what happened in last week's consultation. The PD sessions where we met and discussed the pieces of writing we were reading, and then making connections with the consultations we did that week. In the spring, we did not have a single professional development session. Honestly, everyone was just struggling to get by. This semester, we've had 3 and they've been online. They are better than nothing, but they're not the same. The group coming together and you know, coming up with ideas and different ways to deal with different issues that come up from week to week. That is something we definitely miss. And I don't understand the relationship between that and the physical space, but we haven't gotten that back so far. And actually, I was wondering about PD sessions, professional development sessions, and other campuses and writing centers, and what's going on with that. If there was, if anybody could share how they're going about that issue, especially with faculty. Yeah, especially with faculty consultants. Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, no, I mean, I see Mary's sort of comment here. I think we all missed that materiality, right? I mean, of being in our offices and close to each other, right? I mean, I've made the joke before that, you know, we're starting to miss even the colleagues that we really don't like, you know, but we are in that situation. And I think it is really important that we find ways to have that connection with our consultants and with our tutors. I host a weekly meeting with all the writing instructors who work in the writing center. usually it would be very structured in terms of like, we have to do this and this and this and this, but it is turning into a place for us to just be together and talk about questions that have come up this last week. And then I've started hosting coffees with Ken, which is just a weekly hour that people can join, right? If they want to or not. But sort of for that water cooler, coffee machine, I don't know, kind of talk, where we can sort of just be in the room together without an agenda, because I think that this is really, really important. And I'm seeing it with the peer tutors as well. I mean, I have writing instructors in my writing center and peer tutors. So I have a meeting with the writing instructors and I have a meeting with the peer tutors, but they just need to talk about what's going on. So it's much less structured than I usually run these sessions, but I think they just need that space to be able to talk to each other and to me about that. So did that answer your question, Maimoonah? Sorry.
Yes, thanks. And another one of the issues that I think were very bothers me to this day was how we did not accommodate the waiting list and the usual the walk-ins that used to come by the center. People sometimes found the center fully booked. They'd come in and still be seen. We'd manage it somehow, let them wait 30 minutes, see if we can call someone. Usually, I mean, we've had students just chill in the center for up to 2 hours, and they'd still have their conversation and leave and go home happy. The online environment, I don't know if there's a way out there that I don't know about, but we haven't been able to do that yet. And I feel like that was a really important aspect of the CWE being a space of support and a safe haven for students where they could just come in and sit on a couch and know that they will leave the space having received some support. So the online environment, and especially WC Online, is so rigid in terms of the boxes that are either there or not there, white or taken, that I feel adds a rigidity to what we do and makes it more of a service as opposed to a space for support. And so that is something that we still remains a concern for us.
I don't want this to be sort of become a sort of back and forth between Maimoonah and myself, but and we have sort of set up at NYU Abu Dhabi I've changed the settings on my WC Online so students can book appointments up to half an hour into the appointment slot. So that basically works as a walk-in, right? So if somebody is not booked, the student can go in and book it, even though the appointment is technically already in session. It does mean, though, that the consultant or the peer tutor would have to check their email regularly for that half hour. But at the same time, once that half hour is over, they also know that they're off the hook, right? Because it was stressful for them to sit there and constantly for an hour recheck their email to see if they had been booked. So that's how we've been trying to accommodate that situation, that someone can actually walk in and make an appointment up until the half hour before it's done.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think I muted Maimoonah when I was trying to mute myself. Sorry.
That's okay. It's fine. Yeah, that could be something we can try because we have all these names on the waiting list and no set approach as to what to do about them. So sometimes when we have cancellations, we contact them, reach out But because it's in real time, by the time they get back to you, 20 minutes will have passed. We keep the consultant on standby. So those are just some of the things we've been going through that I was, we were just wondering if people had similar situations in other writing centers.
Can I answer the question of Queen in the chat box? Anybody know of a platform that we could customize a waiting room that might be more interesting? I think the WC online platform doesn't yet offer this option, but it offers like this was a newly. It offers actually that we can customize the consultant as walk-in resource, that they are only for walk-ins, and we can open slots for them. But I think if you just send them because they always welcome the suggestions, and they would really work on it, and you would be surprised that they would add it to their platform. If you suggest this to them, to like have a waiting room. Do you mean by waiting room like a chatting room that students can just wait there and chat until they wait? They would the same as the cafe, or?
Yeah, kind of like Zoom has a waiting room so that students who want to join into like your office hours, they can't get in until you let them in, and so they're stuck in a waiting room. And to be honest, I mean, the waiting room in Zoom is, just you there by yourself. I don't know if there's some way to create a waiting room where the other people in the waiting room could actually talk with each other or just hang out and, do whatever, so that it kind of more like a waiting room or more like a writing center where they would just hang out in the chairs and watch what's going on and look at their phone or whatever.
Yeah, I think
So Mary, I've been so uncomfortable with that waiting room with my office hours because we know that they need to talk to each other. We know that they need more time for that. So what I do is I don't have it enabled so that they come straight in, but I'm in a breakout room with one student, right? But what I first do, because sometimes I squeeze it in between two of my classes. And so I open up the Zoom because I'm doing a hybrid. I'm face-to-face, and then I come back to my office. I might have 4 people in there. So the first thing I'll say is, okay, does anyone have a question that they feel comfortable asking in front of everybody? It'd be really great if you did that, because then we can all learn together. So we get those going first. And then, but they also know that they can totally have one-to-one with me. So I go in and I encourage them, have you guys help each other while I'm because I feel so rude, because where I come from, you don't have somebody waiting out on the porch. You let them in, So I don't know.
I didn't even think about using breakout rooms in that way, Misty. Thanks. I'll do that with my office hours, because I've always felt weird about them sitting out there.
Yeah.
What are they doing in that weird space where it just says the host will let you in a little while,
I mean, that's a great idea, Misty. I think I'll do that too. Thank you for that. And because that's how we did walk-in hours at the Writing Center at NYU Abu Dhabi. We had a stable Zoom link, and people would be in the waiting room, right, until someone could see them. But that's a great idea to actually sort of try and switch that and say, no, I'm just in a breakout room, and you all just hanging out here until I get back to you, right? It's a great idea. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Ron, I'm interested. Do you have another suggestion? Because it seemed like you were going to say something additionally.
No, you just give me an idea that we can send the WC online, because they always reply to our emails in real time. So we can send them this suggestion, and we see what they can do about it. You just give me this idea. I didn't have this before. And yeah, it's nice. Maybe they would benefit more in the waiting room, just waiting for a consultation. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe, Maimoonah, there's a way that we can send that on behalf of Menaka, I mean, I think so many of the writing centers.
Yes, I think that would be a great
Right.
idea, actually, something to come out of this session.
Yeah, if we send it on behalf of the organization, maybe, I mean, they pay attention all the time, they're great. But if we send it on behalf on our sort of collective organization, that could be something. We're coming, what is it that people say in meetings? In the interest of time. We're coming up on the hour, but I want to make sure that that we've heard sort of questions that anyone might have. Any additional questions? No? Then, well, in the interest of time, I will say thank you to all of you for joining again and for being sort of part of Menaka's effort to create this kind of community. And Sahar just reminded me that we have a survey that we are asking you to fill out. Sahar, is there anything I should say about this?
Not really. All you need to do is just press the button.
All right, and now you all have a great sense of how well I teach on Zoom, but there we are. So,
I'd like to thank Maimoonah and Rana for a very interesting discussion of their experiences. It raised a lot of issues and conversation about how we're going to deal with this in the future.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much for attending.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much for sharing that information. Yeah. So.
A pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm afraid I have to leave for another meeting, but it was great seeing all of you, and thank you for participating in today's conversation.